friends, and welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Yvonne and you are on Ginger Chick Rehab, where I love to take secondhand finds and make them over and share the process with you all of what I do to these items. So in today's video, yes, I am on the fence. I actually picked up a box full of fencing, wooden fencing from a recent auction, and I'm going to share with you 5 ideas of how to make these fences over. Though these weren't in a box when I was at the auction, they were up against a wall in a shed where they were trying to sell the whole shed together. And I'm like, hey, wait, I would like just to buy those pieces of fences. So there was 8 fences. I got them for 20 bucks. I do not think that was a bad deal. There was another lady that was, wanting them too. So, a little bidding war for 20 bucks. Anyway, I mean, wood nowadays. And I would say these are on the smaller side. So at first I'm like, do I leave the stakes? Do I not leave the stakes? But I know I'm just going to start working on them because they desperately need to be cleaned. So let's get all the cobwebs, and it looks like some grass seed had been spilled in that shed, and get them cleaned up. Now, they're not huge. They're not very big. So I made the executive decision to cut off the stakes. That was a hard decision. Like, do I leave them on? Do I not leave them on? But I want to make them like you can hang them up decor, or set it down on and put it on your porch, or hang it on a fence on a fence. But yes, I'm just taking the jigsaw and just cutting those stakes off. I do have some prep before I can start painting them. They are really raw. They're really grabby. It's that type of pine that will just grab, as you noticed, every cobweb, every little dust bunny in the world will grab onto that. So I'm going to take some time with my Orbital sander and some 220 sandpaper, and then just try to get them nice, as smooth as I possibly can. For the areas I can't reach with the Orbital sander, they are still raw and grabby, so I'll go in with some sandpaper and sand that by hand. Before I just paint these, I'm going to go ahead and try to give them some age by using the watered down antiquing wax, which is a pickle jar, a 1/4 cup of Waverly antiquing wax, a spoonful of the ink chalk paint, and then just the rest water, and just mix it together. So this will just give it a little bit more of an aged look. So this wood was really dry, so it absorbed in really quick, though there probably is a little bit of wet spots here and there. That's okay. I really just want it to have an aged look, so I'm going to do a dry brush technique. Probably a little bit wetter on the paint. I'm just using the Kills paint and primer that I get from Walmart just to paint these fences. I'm not looking for total coverage. Yes, I did decide to paint both sides, only because you're going to have drips, your runs, you're going to have your back looking a mess by brush strokes, so it is what it is. So anyway, I'm going in with some 220 sandpaper, and I'm just smoothing down that paint, distressing the edges a little bit, just giving it a little bit more age. Now that I have it all sanded, I'm going to add a hanging system. So actually, I'm going to just drill 2 holes, one on each side, and then pull a wire through, and then do a little twisting of the wire to keep it in there nice and secure. You'll see the wire, but you can actually pick up aged black wire at a hardware store. This is where I got the roll that I'm using today, so that way it still looks aged and not shiny and new. So there's just something about a white, chippy fence. Oh my gosh, these are just turned out beautiful. I already am in love with them. Now, since they're on the smaller side, going to add the decor, I have to look in my stash to see what I have. And I have this beautiful wreath that's just been waiting on something to go on to. And that white is a great backdrop for that green and that yellow in color. Now, this is a secondhand wreath, so I'm just fluffing it back up and making sure that everything's twisted the right way. And then I'll just go ahead and I will staple it on, as simple as that. You could add a hanging system to the wreath, but sometimes that shifts it here and there. So I find just stapling it on works the best. So 2 of the fences that I'm working on today, I did keep the stakes on, but I'm still on the fence if I am keeping them on or not. So still, everyone will get the same sanding and the same kind of hanging system, but I'll just show you how I'm going to go ahead and do the decor. Talk about God wink moments all the time on my channel, and this is one of them. I can't even tell you where I got this flower from, and I probably have had it in our wood pile and almost threw it in the trash. I don't know how many times. I'm like, I've never come up with a project to use this flower on, and then every time I pull it out. And this is a perfect flower for the wood fences. So it is aged, it has weathered, but I'm just going to give it a sanding and see what happens. And actually, while I'm sanding it, it's giving it a two-toned, like maybe the top layer is faded or maybe somebody changed the color, but oh wow, I am absolutely in love with it. Other than sanding it, there's not much I need to do to this. If you have the right kind of saw, or your hand skills are wonderful for cutting this out, I could have used this as a wood pattern, but I know our shop is so cram-packed right now that I just don't have the time to do that, but I'm happy to have it on hand. I put this one on the stake because I thought wood on wood, this should be good if you want to put it out in the weather. That was my thought process on this one. But I know when it comes to taking brad nails and brad nailing it in, I needed to have pretty long ones because that is thick and then the wood is thick. But I'm just making sure that I'm getting it placed where I am getting good wood-to-wood contact. And I recently did a project where I showed you how to take apart a grapevine wreath and use pieces of it, and this is one of the pieces, and look at how it fits perfectly. It just gives a little bit more visual to this piece. There again, this grapevine is pretty thick, so I'm going to go ahead. I shortened up my brad nails that I'm not going all the way through, but I'm brad nailing right through that grapevine. Next, I'd like to add this little crow birdie that I had found. Yep. You never know what you're going to find in a thrift store, but I do think it needs to be backed a little bit something. And I have this another secondhand find of it's like dried berries, little candle ring, but I thought I would add a little bit more visual to it. Unfortunately, this little crow is way too thick just to brad nail in. So I'm going to go ahead and staple the wreath on, and then I'm going to use Titebond wood glue to glue the bird on. That way it's a permanent and it's on there. I just did not have long enough brad nails to get that attached. Now I'd like to add the star to one of these fences, but I'm not quite the color of that scheme that I'm going for. So I'm going to go ahead and get it sprayed up with some black flat Rust-Oleum enamel paint. How many out there guessed that I was going to do some patina on it? Oh yeah, I'm in love with this patina. And every time I'm using it, I'm finding easier ways to use it. Like I don't have to have complete coverage. So it's the Dixie Belle's patina paint in the iron. And what I'm doing is I'm just doing a dabbing technique. I don't have to have complete coverage. And I'm just going to cover here and there all over the star. Who else loves trying out new products? So along with the patina of the rust and the turquoise, there's this yellow. I don't know anything about it, y'all. So let's see how it works. So, but if anything, I know I would, I know it's going to be yellow. I'm trying to get it started. You know, it always is kind of a bugger to get started, but now I know what color is going to come out. But yeah, yellow. So I'm like, hey, I would like a yellow star. That would be good for an outdoor decor item or even on your wall, just a pop of yellow. I wasn't sure if it shifted, if it changed colors, or if it stays the yellow. So I just sprayed away. I said I have no idea what I'm doing with it, but I applied it while my iron paint was wet. I applied the yellow. Now I'm going to apply a little bit of green because I'm like, oh, that might be a little bright if it stays that color. And then on top of the green, which makes rust, I'm going to go ahead and add some of the blue. And it may not even change anything of the yellow, but I did it anyway. So I actually have a video of how I made this star and the wreath, so I can share that. Hopefully I remember, but I love that as the background to that yellow. So I'm just going to go ahead and get that brad nailed on. Just the simplicity of having fun. Now this, as you see, this one had a little bit of green on it when I painted it, but I thought, you know what, I like that green. Okay, let's check out the star. I can see some of the rust I put on. I can't say that I see any of the blue, but maybe the blue kind of toned the yellow down, but I'm loving on it. I think it's kind of fun. I liked it because of a two-dimensional star, a star on top of star. So now I'm just going to go get it sealed in with some weather defense metal spray. And then to attach it, I'm going to use that same brad nailers, just trying to find a spot where I know that I'm going to go all the way through into the main piece of fence. Yes, the brad nails will go through this thin metal. Nope, you weren't seeing things. Yes, I did end up taking the stakes off of it at the bottom. I just did not like that. So anyway, now we're on to this new aged galvanized windmill. So let's make this rusty crusty. The more I've worked with this Dixie Belle patina paint, especially the iron, which seems to be my favorite one to use, is all I do is dab it on. I don't do two coats. I just dab it in place. And then while it is still wet, I go ahead and use my sprays. But I'm just trying to dab here and there where I think natural rust would have occurred. This may have been the most amazing rust piece I have ever done. Oh my heart. Oh my gosh. It turned out so good, y'all. So to seal it in, I'm using that same Weather Defense metal spray. But to attach this piece, because the fan blades roll up, the brad nails were just going right through it. So I'm actually using the staple gun, so it has those 2 points of contact, and that seemed to work out a little bit better. And then I'm just going to go back in with some chocolate brown paint from Fusion just to cover up my staples. You don't want to see those shiny new staples. My last fence is going to be a little bit more in detailed here. The hardest thing about these fences was going to my stash and finding pieces and parts that would work on these smaller pieces of fence. I think they're great as decor pieces. So I have this bunny that was probably part of an Easter, decor, but I need to go ahead and take off his tags, and then it had a hanging system that was stapled in, of course, onto MDF board, which is sometimes a nightmare to work with, but I just need to get that off so it will lay flat. I wanted the bunny to pop against that white fence, so I'm going to go ahead and use Fusion's chocolate paint. Chocolate bunny. It's not Easter time, but chocolate bunny's still cute. So I love this Fusion paint, y'all. I can't even tell you how nice this paint is. So yes, I'm just going to go ahead and get it brushed on. I'm going to try to go in the same direction so you don't really see brush strokes. But I love this coverage of paint, primer, and top coat all in one. To me is just amazing, and it just goes on so smooth. I can't say enough about this paint. I do always share the link for the small business Vonda store, the Painted Heirloom. Nope, I don't sell it. I just really like it. Now the first coat will go on and it'll seem kind of streaky, but once you apply that second coat, the coverage is amazing. The thing that attracted me to this bunny when I saw it in the thrift store was the details, those lines, almost paneling, shiplappy type of details. So just by taking some 220 sandpaper that's going to hit those edges and distress it and bring back that lighter color that is underneath, that really will tie it in to this piece of fence. I went in my stash looking to see what I had, and I had this gorgeous pipberry and white wreath with some rusty stars that's perfect to fit in that corner, but I also needed something because there was a little bit of a blank space. So I have these pieces of wood. We don't even really know what they came from, but we picked them up at an auction. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut that down and do a little bit of wording on it. But first I want to go ahead and distress those edges so that it kind of ties in and matches the bunny. So when I was distressing the edges, a little bit more on the top, since that was already lighter, came off. So I'm just going to use that same paintbrush that I had when I painted the bunny, and then just do a little bit of touch up. Try not to touch the edges where I just distressed them. I just want these two pieces to match. To add some wording to this little piece of wood, I'm just going to do bunny trails. I'm going to use my letterpress stamps from IOD with some of the IOD white ink. And of course I have to reuse the N. And then when there was such a hole in that wreath, I'm like, what do I have? And I just actually thrifted this little rusty crusty birdhouse that fits perfectly in that space, so it just doesn't look odd with nothing hanging out there. So now I'm just using the cheater method where I take a piece of packing tape and grab the letters off. It's just a little bit easier for me to control. Then I'll put it on my stamping mount, make sure that my letters are all in order, but it just gives me a little bit more control. So when I take the packing tape off, which is it's sticky, y'all, it's sticky. So I just fold over those edges to give myself some handles. that I have my wording done, I can go ahead and start attaching it. And same thing, I'm just using some brad nails. I really am trying to center, you know, a little bit of OCD here, center the line of the bunny's head with the line of the fence, and making sure that it's level. We all have our things, don't we, y'all? So, and then the same thing, I'll brad nail the little sign in, along with I will brad nail the wreath on. I could, there again, use a hanger, but then the hanger might shift it. So just going through the stem, the round wreath part will work out just fine. So thank you so much for watching today's video, and what did you think? Yes, the simplicity of just a white picket fence. Yes, it stained okay, but it was still that new wood, so painting it white to me was just a way to just distress it and give it some age. And then just simple decor, just adding simple decor, a wreath, making a windmill rusty crusty, you know, that yellow spray was quite interesting. I'll have to play with that and figure out how to use it. That's the fun of new, is that we get to play around with it. And then I had that flower, I've had that flower for the one that I used with the crow. I can't even tell you how many years. I actually thought I had gotten rid of it, but when I found it, I was like, God, week moment, I wanted to use that. I'm glad that I found it. And then along with, you know, just that bunny and then a wreath, and then having another little God week moment of coming across that little bitty rusty birdhouse, and just simplicity of a sign. Oh my goodness. So they all have my heart. And I know I took off the stakes to put them in the ground, just because I felt as if they were more home decor, porch decor, than putting them outside that would weather them so much. So anyway, give me a quick comment down below. Have I inspired you to look at secondhand finds in a new way? And which one of the fences that I made over today was your favorite? Again, if you're part of our YouTube family, thank you so much. And for those of you who have hopped over and checked out Chris and Yvonne GCR, the journey about us moving and starting all over again as empty nesters, thank you so much. I can link it down below if anybody's interested in checking out our new channel. And again, if you are new here and you like this kind of content, please hit the subscription button along with the notification bell so you know we've uploaded a new video. And we will see you next time, guys, and you can see what we're up to. Bye!